welcome to another edition of Strange New Pod. I'm your Fleet Admiral and host, Julian Brown, alongside the best bridge crew, this side of a Kelvin-shaped salt shaker.
Want one of those?
I want one. Me too. Me too. Commander Hawk is here, and it's a Kelvin episode, so Hawk, give it to me, baby. Give it to me, baby, one more time. Give me that sweet Nero. Let's go.
It has happened. I watched it happen. I saw it happen. Don't tell me it didn't happen.
There it is. That's my man. Hell yeah. Love it. Sub-Commander Giraffe is here and has seen Ethan Peck's abs. Still waiting to see Quinto's abs on screen.
Hey, we deserve the bat signal on the big screen.
It's true. It's true. Right? And of course, our resident Kelvin expert, Commander MC, is here, ready to throw down and crack skulls like Khan if she's here. If she hears any bad opinions tonight, y'all know who you are. There are some bad ones. There are some good ones. It's going to be a fun show. Welcome back. Welcome aboard. How we doing?
A lot more excited now that we're going to be talking about Kelvin.
Hey, Julian is definitely not a fleet badmiral. You don't know. Tonight, I might be a bad admiral because off mic, I was telling these guys, pretty bad day. It's one of those days where it's like the hero becomes the villain. I'm having one of those days where I could go badmiral. It's like, it's right there. He's our dadmiral. A lot of why I want to turn badmiral is because of me being a dadmiral. I'm just saying. It's been one of those days. Choices were made. I'm a dadmiral for now.
I want to say that I survived the floods because people asked me. We're fine. Literally, I think if I had lived like 2 blocks down, we would not have been. But thanks to being slightly higher than the rest of my neighborhood, I was fine. Even managed to keep my car. So.
Hey,
yeah.
Hey, yo.
That's good because that thing would have washed right away.
Dude, that thing would have been gone.
I have a clown car.
It's a clownmobile.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It doesn't pollute. That's why we're in this situation to start with. So
very true.
I do my part.
Oh,
I have an SUV, but no, we're fine. It's still
okay.
raining
Hold up.
somehow.
You don't have an SUV. It may be
I
5
don't
door.
have an
Okay, I thought you said you do have an SUV. It may
No,
be
I don't.
5 doors, but it's not an SUV.
No, it's not.
No,
And
it's
it
not.
holds together with duct tape. So, I'm
It does. I've
getting
seen
all
it.
the mileage I can out of that thing.
I think we're going to be driving together to Vegas in it. If my
In it?
plans
No,
still
I don't-
work.
I-
Oh no, you're renting. You're going to
I rent a car to go to Vegas. This
All
thing
right.
doesn't go to Vegas. What are you talking about?
We'd get stuck in the desert and die.
Yeah, if you really want to meet the desert, we can drive that car to Vegas.
I'm just saying this episode might not end up talking about Star Trek tonight. I'm just like, we could just talk about dying in a desert.
You asked me how I was.
Oh no. I'm
survived
with you. I
a
want
major
to
thing.
have these conversations tonight.
I will drag us on to talking about Kelvin.
You will. I know you will. Hawk's wearing his Captain Pike sweater. He's ready to go.
I thought this was my Leslie Crusher.
It's like bordering on like Jeffrey Hunter Captain Pike though.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. Chat is hopping tonight. Make sure to keep your questions and comments coming all night long. Where's Vice Admiral Eric? He's been gone 2 weeks. Well, unfortunately, Vice Admiral Eric fell victim to an unfortunate turbolift incident. So we think he's okay.
He's in sick bay somewhere.
He's in sick bay somewhere.
Canadian sick bay is
Canadian
not
sick
something
bay.
that takes a long time.
I heard it was a blue plastic barrel.
The blue plastic barrels will get you every single time. Watch out, Worf. Speaking of what's going on tonight, no blue plastic barrels are going to fall on us, I hope. A virus might take over my last day of her life computer. This is the last podcast that will be done on this computer. Thank God. Praise be. Tonight, actually, I read. Oh, did somebody fix my typo?
You had
That was
I did.
intentional.
It was intentional.
It was intentional. It was meant to be a joke, MC. So I'm still gonna say
I
it.
have no idea. I didn't read the outline.
MC fixed the typo.
It looked like you had done a find and replace.
Nope. It was meant as a joke because of the news today. but I appreciate you looking out for me all the same. Anywho, Sky Dance Amount says that Star Trek 4 is still on. If you don't get the joke, Skydance is possibly acquiring Paramount. Maybe a sale to them might actually make that happen because they've been like the co-studio on the Kelvin films. So maybe they move things along. We're going to talk a lot more about that next week. We'll talk about that at the end of the show. But seriously, no bullshit. Like that could actually help. Now a Kelvin prequel, whatever that means. I'm still trying to wrap my head around that one. That's been announced. It's part 2 of our Star Trek movies wants and don't wants series. A lot of good mailbags this week on this. It's going to be a good conversation. Before we get to that, we have patrons we have to thank. I haven't done it in a while, so I thought I'll just do it. We'll move things along. I'm going to thank our amazing Ready Room patrons. And also, I know a few of you have already started getting your pins. They are in the mail. Let us see them when you get them. Every single patron, no matter your level, is getting a pin. So look out for them. But thank you to our Ready Room level patrons and above: Simon Stager, Jeff Reeve, Mariah Gossett, Jen Stein, Tina Alexander, Joe Saporito, Noe Santos, Kang Hui, Takako Nagumo, Fernando Nogales, SMK, Laura Linderman, Colin Davidson, Jesco, Michael Graham, Emily and Travis, Gildara, Cassie, Blue Chew, Andorian Acronism, Maggie Light, Tyrannikilicus, Wayne Ritz, Skonavark, Sean, Jay Howard, Anna Yerdadon, Mahelani Uchiyama, Matt Harker, Davey Willett, Tara Pollen, Slope 74, Rude Parakeet, Joshua Miller, Adam Sanders, Eris Benjin, Lanky Guy, Aaron Waltke, Carl Angoli, Michael Kwan, TJ Mayer, Caitlin, Elizabeth Dean, Jim McMahon, Time Lord Serving a Starfleet. You're still illegal. Stop it. Sindano 317, Puka Hair, 3 Fry Short, Cat Tippe, Tripping the Read Alert over a Pineapple, Sean Manning, Congressional Baseball Fan, Chris Waterman, RHCB, Martin Simpson, 7 Rasmussen, and Anna F. You all freaking rock. Let's go. Also, as always, a very big thank you to our amazing executive producers, which I forgot to put on the list, so I think I'm going to remember all of you: Simon Sager, Commander Chris Waterman, the Chief Ernesto Castagna, and Tara Pollen. Y'all help keep the lights on, pay for our shipping for all those fucking pins. Holy shit.
Good for you doing that from memory. Nice.
Thank you. And I'm like 3 beers in.
Yeah.
We're doing good tonight. We're doing good. News. Not a lot to go on this week unless Giraffe has something, which she usually does. So I'm hoping maybe you have news, or we could just move right along. First, get your Last Days of Disco applications in if you are a fellow podcast that wants to take part. Closes on February 12th, I think, or when submissions close. Get those in. It's going to be an amazing podcast festival. We already have a lot of great guests who are going to be taking part in that. And then our dear friends, none of us are wearing any Star Trek gear tonight. Dress wearing her uniform,
January.
but she's also wearing Miss Marvel. It is Super Cas January. You can, however, get their awesome line of Star Trek stuff, Marvel stuff, Star Wars stuff, D&D stuff, 20% off your first order using our code STRANGE. They just released like a brand new X-Men beanie that I really, really, really want. Kaylee.
I want the Indiana Jones stuff.
Oh, and Indiana Jones. Yeah. Maybe next package.
When is shipping to Canada coming?
When is shipping to Canada coming? That is a good question. Hopefully soon. But 20% off your first order at heroesandvillains.com. Kaylee, if you're listening to X-Men beanie. Want it. Need it in my life. They're still out of the Logan hoodie. That thing. Do you remember that Logan hoodie from New York Comic Con?
Yeah, I
MC?
do. Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. Oh,
That's why
man.
it's still sold out. Because
That's why it's still sold out. I asked Kaylee, I was like, do you have any extra ones of those? She's like, nah, nope. Sorry. All gone. Oh, well. Let's get into this. We're moving right along tonight. A lot of good mailbags, so we have a lot to get to. We're going to do this in 2 parts. First, we're going to start, even though we probably should have started the prequel, but I wrote this outline over some beers. We're going to start in the present, but past, but present. I don't know.
I mean, it's Star Trek. When is it ever the present?
Never, thanks, temporal agency. Star Trek 4, wants and don't wants. MC, I know that you've been looking forward to this for a long time, so we will start with you tonight. And of course, with a want, what do you want from Star Trek 4?
Okay. Well, I want Star Trek 4 to happen. I am seriously tired of having
I want to know what the
queue
hell
up.
is going on.
I'm tired of queuing up quit playing games with my heart every time I hear news about this movie. But on a serious note, because if we're talking about this actually happening, I want. Sorry, I'm hearing beeping. I think my headphones just turned off.
Oh no!
Tonight is the
Okay,
night.
we're good.
Tonight is the
Of
night.
course.
It is
Tonight
the
is
night.
the night. Yeah.
I want them to do something slower. We've had a lot of very action-packed Kelvin movies, and I mean, all of the Star Trek movies really have been very action forward. And I get like that big budget, movies are usually more action packed. But one, I don't think Star Trek should be a big budget movie. I think that they should kind of like scale it down. I've talked about this, I think, on other I think I talked about it last week. The days of like the almost billion-dollar movies, they can't do that anymore, because like last year it proved like nothing can sustain that. And Star Trek, when they were doing the Kelvin movies, that's what was holding them back, is that they were spending way too much money on movies that didn't need them. And I would love to see them, and I think Chris Pine has even talked about this, doing like a slower, more diplomatic movie. Like I compare it to like The Undiscovered Country or Journey to Babel, like do something more focused on the diplomacy of these characters. Like at this point,
Or Star Trek 5. What does God need with a starship?
Don't bring up that movie. But the older movies, like 2009, they were the young bucks. So of course everything was super exciting. But at this point, I'm pretty sure it's the same distance of time between Star Trek Beyond and when this movie would theoretically be coming out, then as the end of TOS and the motion picture. So they're kind of like actually becoming more of the elder statesmen. So less action adventure and more of the diplomatic side of Starfleet.
It's a good want. I agree. Like the first 3 movies are just like boom, 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 boom. Let's see how many times we could shoot the Enterprise. Oh shit, let's destroy it in the 3rd movie. Enough. Let's do some diplomatic stuff. Let's explore a strange new world.
Let's do something with whales.
Let's do.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about whales. Someone asked for whales in the mailbag. We are going to talk about whales. While you are there, MC, can you read Matt Harker's "Don't Want," please?
Oh, you would give me this one to read.
I would.
Matt Harker's "Don't Want." Don't want no more red matter. That's a terrible grammatic sentence there, sir. Okay, you don't want no more red matter, and
So you
dial
want
back.
more? So you want more red matters?
Exactly, yeah. And dial back on the Spock and Uhura dynamic.
How
Oh,
dare
sir,
you.
we're having words.
Boo.
We are having words.
Oh,
Mad boo, get out.
So are we just gonna boo him, or should
We're just
I
gonna
like
boo
actually
him.
do the?
I mean,
the
you can tell him all the reasons he's wrong, or we can move on. That's entirely up to you.
Well, I mean, again, like talking about how it's been like 10 years since the last Kelvin movie, and if you think that it was 5 years before that was the first one, they've been together for like 15, 16 years. We're not going to start the 4th one. It's like, by the way, we broke up again. No, if
Oh, you
anything,
know
You mean
that
like
they should
Seven
be-
and Rafi?
Definitely do that, right?
I mean,
You're
they could,
aware
but if
they would definitely do that.
I mean, yeah, if they did, I would do terrible things. Now, instead of dialing back on the Spock and Uhura, do it smartly. Instead of like these like make it all about drama. Just mention it like at the start of the movie that they're fucking married, and then have it not be a big deal.
Yeah, give me a Spahura baby. I want a Spahura baby.
Aw.
Give me a
Aw.
spawn. Give me a little spawnling, please. Yes.
See, you took it even farther than
I did. No, I like babies. Give me a baby. I want a baby on the
I like
Enterprise.
baby. like babies.
I miss when my kids were babies, so I'm being very like, oh, those were the days.
And Tara was wondering if we are getting Zoe Saldana again. Zoe Saldana has said that she will come back for
Yeah.
Star Trek, and also she's not doing anything right. Like all of her big budget box office stuff is done. Like she's done with the Avatar. Like didn't they film all of the Avatar movies already?
He's actually about
No.
to start filming like in a few months for Avatar 3.
Okay, but it's the third. They're only doing a trilogy on it, right?
No, he's doing like 5 movies, so there's like
What?
3 more.
And
to
Yeah.
film.
she's a known
Yeah.
Trekkie also.
Yeah.
And
but
she's
I
also
mean, like
doing
she's
that
no
Paramount
longer.
Plus spy series.
She's doing the Paramount series, so she's in with Paramount, and she's not doing Marvel anymore. She's done doing Gamora.
I still haven't watched
5
Guardians
Avatar
3.
movies, really?
5 Avatar movies. Yep.
I haven't seen the first
I
one.
didn't. I think I seen the first one once, so like 20 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and that's all.
Way of the Water was fine. It did not.
I'm not. You know me. I'm not super into
I
the
know
novel
you're not.
savage bullshit.
Yeah,
so
I know.
I'm like,
I know.
Yeah.
ugh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I same. I saw it when it came. I guess I didn't see it in theaters. I saw it when it came to, I think DVD or Blu-ray at the time. And it's like Dances with Wolves in Space. I know this.
Dances with
I've seen
Wolves
this.
and Fern Gully.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Dances with Fern Gully.
Anyway, more Spahura, not less Spahura.
Yes.
Yeah, but we don't need red matter either. Yeah, I don't think there's a good way to bring it.
But that was Red Matter was only a thing in the first movie.
It
Like,
was,
it was a plot device.
and it was a plot device to create the Kelvinverse, basically. So, I couldn't see them using it again. But I mean, let's not. I agree on that point. Like, we don't need to use it again.
Yeah.
Where are we, Hawk?
Hey.
What don't you want from Star Trek 4?
That's a very interesting question because, like, I'm still trying to parse, a prequel to the Kelvinverse. Like, a prequel to the Kelvinverse is TOS. But then I thought
This is
Well, this is just about,
Kelvin
like-
I'm
War.
thinking about that long stretch. I don't know, that stretch of history between like the incident of the Kelvin and that to when Kirk and them take over the Enterprise. Maybe they're going into that area. I don't know.
Well, we're going
We're
to talk about
still-
the prequel more later, but like, what do you want, like, post Star Trek Beyond, which is what I think Star Trek 4 is going to be, or don't want from that? I mean,
What-
I was
sorry.
so confused by
Yeah,
the
well-
question. Also, I was like, how are we talking as Spahura when it's a prequel?
Well,
Thank you for
no,
explaining.
that-
Because there's there's two movies they're talking
We're talking about
There's two
There's two
movies.
movies. There's 2
Okay.
movies. There's Star Trek
Okay.
4, and apparently.
Well, Hawk didn't understand either, so I feel less
No,
bad.
it's okay. So there's Star Trek 4.
We're confused together.
That's okay. There's Star Trek 4, and there's now the announced Kelvin prequel as well, which makes no sense, which we're going to talk about later in the show. But right now, this is like, what do you want or don't want from a post Star Trek Beyond film?
Yeah. So I guess if we're going into like a post Star Trek Beyond film, what don't I want?
If you want a moment to think about it, I can read Kang's comment in the chat because yes, absolutely. Since disco is sadly ending, can we slip Michael into the Kelvinverse? Yes, absolutely. I
Hold on.
want Kelvin Michael.
At least someone was brave enough to say it.
And it should be Sonequa. Period.
That might make things confusing.
Might make
though.
things confusing because like Zachary Quino is not. Yeah.
All right. So don't wants. Yeah. I think I'm aligning with MC on this.
Lupita
don't-
Nyong'o.
She'd be so interesting, wouldn't she?
Who?
Lupita
Lupita
Nyong'o.
Nyong'o.
Oh, sorry. No, for me, draft cut out for me, so I didn't hear it. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So yeah, I'm gonna align with MC in that. It's like don't do the big explosions and that. I don't want the universe in jeopardy. I don't want the crew to be, the only ones not capable of settling it. Go smaller. Do something idea driven in that. Don't just like go wasting a lot of money on that, trying to get asses in the seats who probably don't even really want to be there or belong there. Let's just get this crew together, show them as the elder statements and that at that point in their lives. Yeah, that's my don't want. And that. Don't go big, go small.
Mhm.
Come on, Paramount, and that save some money.
Yeah, I mean, like that's something that Chris Pine has talked about. He's like, listen, like the Star Trek fan base is like really well established. Like there's not like you're not going to pull in like Marvel numbers on it. So just appeal to them and make it smaller.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
It's okay to have a movie that doesn't make $1 billion.
Yeah. If it makes its budget back and like some on top of it and that, then kudos, perfect.
Agreed. Let's see. Can you read Jill or Jay Woodman's want, please, for Star Trek 4?
So Jay Woodman's my want is a visual aesthetic without any lens flare, a steady camera, and scenes bright enough to see what's going on. I shouldn't have to wonder if I need to visit the eye doctor, be treated for motion sickness, or have a headache after watching a movie from my favorite franchise. As long as the movie holds the Star Trek values, I'll love it, and I'm ready for whatever they want to bring on.
I like the lens flares.
And I also feel like the lens flares were only like seriously a problem in 2009, and Into Darkness and Beyond were not as poor. Yeah, and I don't want to say poor. Didn't have that stylistic choice. Let's put it like that.
I think by the time Darkness rolled around, they'd already realized, that was becoming a bit of an internet joke and that lens flare in the movies. So, yeah.
Yep. I'm fine with the Kelvin aesthetic. I think it's nice. You know what's sad though? Like I know we're gonna talk about it later. Like I know people were talking about, like let's put them in like the maroons for the next movie, which I kind of agree with. But like the Into Darkness in 2009 uniforms were a little bit like extra and cheese with like the deltas all over. But the uniform they did for Beyond that was so like classic TOS, but just modernized perfectly, kind of like Strange New Worlds, was like chef's kiss. Don't fuck with that.
And the
I would
EV
bring that
suits?
back. Yeah. Yep.
Oh, that like the EV jackets, like get them because you only had Chekhov and Kirk in them. Get them all into that at some point because so beautiful. And I would have to think that there was some inspiration taken from that for the jackets in Strange New Worlds because there's a little bit of correlation there.
Yeah. Yep.
Absolutely.
Eric Summers writes, trying to convince the studio execs that it's okay to not make $1 billion might be a struggle. Here's the thing with that. You could still make a non-action-packed Star Trek movie, market it correctly, save some budget, and make $1 billion on it if it is the right movie and marketed well, which, let's face it, the marketing for Beyond fucking sucked.
It was the 50th anniversary of Star Trek. How the fuck did that movie like not have any promotion? How did they not have a novelization for it?
They released it they showed it at Comic-Con. Oh, it's the one they showed at Comic-Con.
Is it?
There was a screening at Comic-Con Beyond, I think.
But
wasn't it the one?
Like people were talking, it was coming out like in just a couple of months, and like there was nothing for it. Like there was just
was nothing for it. The fact that movie lost the best makeup Oscar to fucking Suicide Squad just shows how little Paramount cared about it.
Which is just obscene. Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Obscene.
I
Ridiculous.
have buckets of salt about the way Paramount treated Beyond.
I don't even love Beyond that much, but it did not deserve the
like
shit
Good.
marketing that it got. It's got good elements. It's just
It's got Idris Elba in it.
fucking makeup. Like give me Idris Elba. Don't give me like alien makeup
No,
Idris
I don't agree.
Elba.
I think like, for an actor, like to be able to be that incredible, because like, okay, I didn't wear like that much makeup, but the Romulan makeup, like moving your face with this product is so hard. Like I had the impression that I could not move at all. And like to be able to like still convey like a character that is like terrifying and at the same time like that they're like unhinged and so on while wearing all that shit is fucking incredible. I mean, for him he was already established. He was like very famous. Like
the problem
didn't
with
have
that,
to prove anything.
No, he didn't have to prove anything. The problem with that makeup though is with the marketing that film got, like I actually remember hearing, like, I don't know how many people knew until the end of the movie that was Idris Elba, like in the makeup. Like It was just like his voice was unrecognizable. His like the makeup didn't like keep a lot of Idris Elba's features. Like I think they could have done. It was still really cool. Like they did a cool ass makeup. It just like it did a disservice to him, I think, because he's such an amazing actor.
Yeah, the Kelvin movies is always, except for the first one, which had just amazing marketing on it. The Into Darkness and Beyond have real shit marketing.
Into Darkness was amazing. Fight me.
I mean, I'm
I
not
will
saying that
fight
the
you.
film. I wasn't
Yes.
saying that the
I will
film wasn't
fucking
good. I'm
fight
saying
you.
that. I'm saying the marketing for it was terrible because J.J. Abrams in his fucking mystery box, and he's just like, "Oh, he's not Khan the entire
Oh
time."
god! And then they ruined the secret in a fucking commercial spot.
Yeah,
Oh my god. Oh man.
Into Darkness is not bad. It's just dumb.
It's dumb because
Yes.
it's Khan, but you take away that, it's actually, I think, a
Oh
really
yeah,
good movie.
and it's Khan played by Benedict Cumberbatch.
which is awful. Yeah. Yep.
Anyway,
Off topic. We are way off topic. Giraffe, it is on you now. What do you want from Star Trek 4?
I want fresh aesthetics. Like it's a even like if like I know people want the Marines, but it's a world where literally everything has been shaken. Like it cannot evolve parallelly, stylistically to the main timeline.
Nope.
Give
you're
me
absolutely right.
something totally different. And like you were speaking about like politics, I would love something about like what like the disappearance of Vulcan like created and so on. Like I would like to really know what happens when you take out like a whole fucking planet,
Not just
especially
a planet,
the
but like a powerhouse.
yeah, the technological hub of the Federation. They are the creator. They are the inventor. Like, like all the academies and they are there. Like, so, how it impacted, for example, the development of science compared to the main timeline. Like, if we are the, like the voyage home time-ish, well, let's say, how like, behind the Federation is or not. Like, who took the lead? What happened? But I know they're not gonna give me that because I'm like, it's like 4 nerds. Like, imagine marketing this. But I do want to see like fresh aesthetics because as much as I love like what they're doing, like Strange New Worlds when it comes to the uniforms and like finding TOS and so on, I loved in Discovery seeing like just new uniforms, things that I had never seen, like the new the new colored like uniform like with the black band, or like the beautiful dress uniform that Michael has that is like burgundy. You remember
Oh, those
this
things
one?
are gorgeous from season
yeah.
4. Yeah.
Like new lines, new thing. Like I want to see something I've not seen yet in Star Trek. So I know they're not gonna do that because they're cowards, but
I mean, I totally agree with you. Like, I mean, I know a lot of people complained about like the look of the Enterprise being so different, and especially the size of the Enterprise being so different. But this is a world that is built from conflict. It was built from the conflict of the Kelvin, and the 3 movies we've seen they have been like these, possible quadrant ending problems coming up. So yeah, things aren't going to be the TOS aesthetic of, we're wearing our mini skirts and,
Yeah, no, this is
overshirts.
yeah.
It's very militaristic. That's why that was the whole conflict in Into Darkness.
I can't
and we've seen in like in Picard, for example, and like how like the Federation like closing up, being totally afraid of like Romulans and external enemies and like all this and like terrorism, and how it petrified basically all the political relationship and diplomacy. And I wonder, like, after having like, imagine we would take out of the map the EU, like just all of it in a second, the world would go in a totally different way. And I feel they swung very big with 09, but then they were like, maybe we don't want to face the music.
Mhm. Yeah, that's very true.
Totally different. But they still
Yeah.
like having like this plot that are like super, like dark and so on. So I wonder if because it's gonna be, I do think that if it's a Star Trek 4, it's not gonna be right smack after Beyond. It has
No.
to be like 10 years.
It's going to be 10 years. Yeah.
Yep.
10 years, 15 years after Beyond. What happened? And even maybe it's not dark. Maybe it's, it's like after Third World War, maybe in Star Trek, it's like actually flourished
Like a
and
new
people like realized
renaissance. Yeah.
maybe the Romulan Empire like crumbled, because imagine doing something like that. Like that would crumble the empire also, And what happened down there?
I would actually disagree with you on that. I would say that the Romulans would be quicker to come to the table because it wasn't actually the Romulans doing it, right? Like obviously they get blamed because it's Nero and they're Romulans, but you have to remember they're from the future, and all of a sudden you have Starfleet and the fucking Vulcans being like, "Yo, y'all just destroyed a planet. We are gonna do like our absolute damnedest."
Do you really think it's the first time that Romulans destroy a planet? Let's go.
Okay, straight up destroy a planet? Yes.
Yeah, no. I
Oh,
think
I
they
don't
destroyed
know.
their
Super-
own damn planet in the main timeline. So
Can I get super nerdy and bring up something from the comics?
No, this is a Star Trek podcast.
Yeah. Okay. So
Just
the
serious people
comics,
here.
like with the Vulcan trying to get revenge on Romulus. This one.
No, not. I wasn't thinking about that one. I was thinking about the one where Spock goes to Romulus. There's one of the later ones. Spock, not Spock. Spock Prime. Sorry.
Okay.
Oh
Spock
yeah,
Prime.
yeah.
Spock Prime goes to Romulus and is basically, it's like, I believe he does a mind meld with like the lead one, and it's just like, hey, like shit's getting bad, is gonna get bad. So, and I think we might have brought this up when we were doing the TNG Kelvin pitch.
Yeah.
That they had Ambassador Spock for a good number of years probably trying to push for unification, and that is absolutely going to change the political landscape.
And
Yeah.
they know about the supernova way before.
Yeah.
Way before. So anyway, I think I do want different aesthetics. I do want more character exploration, lean into the crew. I don't know, like what happens. I hope Uhura is still not a lieutenant like 15 years later. Like, please, like
Make
this
her
is
a
not
commander.
possible. She better be a commander. And that we know what happened and why they're here and what they're doing. Maybe the crew is split and they get together. I would like something like this, because I don't imagine that for 15 years they're still all serving on the Enterprise. That's absolutely whack.
I mean, I would think like maybe by this point, Kirk is an admiral. Maybe Spock is captain of the Enterprise. Let's actually get to see Spock as the captain of the Enterprise, because we never really got that.
The one thing that would be weird about that is that Beyond ends with Kirk being like, I'm
wanna
not
be
going
an
to follow
admiral."
in my Prime's
Yeah.
footsteps, and I'm
Mhm.
not going to take the admiral position. So
That's fair.
I would love to see the forever captain Jim Kirk, who doesn't take the admiralty and like have to force his way back in. I like the idea of Jim Kirk being like, I'm on the front lines for life. Like, I'm not
Okay,
gonna
that's
take-
fair.
Yeah.
Mm.
But on that note, we could still get Captain Spock, because like Starfleet could be like, okay, we can't have our entire A team on the same ship. It's like if Kirk's not moving up, kind of like they did with Riker in TNG, where they were always like trying to get him to like move ship.
Yeah. Yep.
I
To be
want to
fair, he
address
should've.
what Colin
I mean, he really should
says
have.
in the chat. Chris Pine has aged that much for sure. Yeah, but he looks like fine wine. Let's be honest.
He looks fantastic.
Dude's
I
a
mean,
sexy
like
and-
beast.
Dungeon and
in,
Dragons, like
I mean, Dungeon
he's
and
great.
Dragons, yeah, that was very good. They should do a movie like this. It's my want, right? Yeah, I want something
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
I want something
Yeah.
funny. Like I want some humor, like in Voyage Home, where you like kind of crack up and there's like it's kind of absurd, but like you're in for the ride. Like I need something that is not absolutely depressing, because it's the TOS crew. It needs to be some shenanigans, some cowboy diplomacy, some aliens that make no sense. Like I want something light-ish with a
Yeah.
plot,
and they've got an incredibly funny cast.
Mm-hmm.
They do.
Like every single, like John Cho, Simon Pegg, like obviously.
Chris
And I mean,
Pine.
like Chris Pine, yeah. Yes.
By the way, if you have not watched The Brother's Son on Netflix, just watch it for the John Cho cameo. I will not say anything else.
What's up,
me
Don
up.
Don Ranger Power? Welcome to the chat, my friend. Keep going, Giraffe. If you could read Jesco's want, please.
Yes. Jesco wants. What do I want? Well, I be blunt. I don't care what the exact time or subject is so long as it's well written. Any idea can be made into something amazing with talented writers at the helm. I just hope that Paramount allows it to be art and not boiled down by corporate interference. So that is what I do not want. A movie full of inconsistencies, poor characterization, and a convoluted plot.
So it was a want and a don't want. And it's a good one. Go ahead, MC.
I volunteer as tribute.
Yes.
I listen, I'm gonna be a bit like pessimistic. Never me, right? But look at what happened. We had like very good movies this year, but look at Barbie. Look at how Barbie was absolutely snubbed at the Oscar because, it's like
I think Greta Gerwig was snubbed. I don't think that Margot
Very
Robbie
much
was
so.
snubbed. I think Margot Robbie was absolutely fine in that movie, but I don't think that she was Best Actress worthy. I think it's a fucking travesty that Greta Gerwig wasn't nominated, but I think it's a little bit over.
No, but that's what I mean.
about-
We're gonna have again the same directors, which is a problem. Because let's be honest, they're not gonna take like a director out of the, look what happened with the Marvels. What's her name, the director?
I don't
I'm
remember, but
blanking.
I fucking love that movie.
Nia DaCosta, I think.
Yeah.
Nia
Yeah.
DaCosta, yeah. And how much shit got shoveled at her face when the movie was, I like the I'm literally wearing a Marvel's dress. And I'm like, it just now if you do like a big sci-fi movie, like a big franchise, and you're not J.J. Abrams or like Sam Raimi, and I
Oh,
love
for
Sam
real.
Raimi. I fucking love Sam Raimi, okay? It's not a but I mean,
No, but
he
it's a
fucked
great
up
point. I know what
Spider-Man
you're trying to
3.
say.
He fucked up Spider-Man 3. Let's put that out there.
Mhm.
What's Spider-Man 3?
Exactly. But I feel like we're always playing it safe because they want to make money, and then when they don't play safe, people are being shit to the director. So I don't know. I do want some new people and new faces and new writers who would write something that is not what we are all expecting. But I don't think this is what is going to happen. It's going to be music by Jeff Russo. It's going to be
It's going to be Michael
Giacchino.
Yeah, but again, I love Michael Giacchino, but give it to Nami Mohamed. Why not?
Yeah.
Well, they should because she does his sound
Right?
and does it better at this point. Yeah.
Bring new people, especially if you want to do another trilogy, because I feel it's gonna be 4, 5, 6, something like this. Bring new right.
They're not going to do
new
4, 5,
ideas.
6. Paramount can't fucking afford it. I wish, right? But I think that this is the last Kelvin film. I think despite the stupid fucking prequel that they're thinking about doing.
So why are they doing a fourth one? They should
I
just
think-
start a new trilogy on something else.
Honestly,
Agreed.
I
Discovery.
think that there could be 4,
Lupita
5,
Nyong'o?
6. It's going to depend on exactly how 4 does, and like Giraffe is saying that they need to do it. They need to do something different with it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which
there's
they
no.
won't, because they're gonna
Yeah.
bank on names. And even when they announced Star Trek 4 and they were like, oh, we're gonna do Star Trek 4, and then the actors were like, we were never contacted for this.
Do you remember? Do you remember that? It was such a bad look. It was so bad, and Paramount lost so much money. It was bad. It was really bad.
But yeah.
My turn. Don't want. I'm gonna make this a very superficial don't want, but I'm gonna go with it. The Enterprise A at the end of Beyond is one of the most ugliest eyesores I've ever seen in my life. Please, if we're gonna do Kelvin 4, pretend they didn't do the whole rebuilding, making that Enterprise A, and just put the A on it with the one from the previous 3. Okay,
Sticker.
just
Or,
a sticker. That's all I need. Just like they did with the Constitution after Star Trek 4. Just make it that shit, because that thing that they rushed to put at the end of the screen of Beyond. No, thank you.
I mean, it's 10 years at this point, and that maybe we're on the beat.
It's been
Kirk-
refit.
Kirk already blew up that shit.
Yeah,
You know
Kirk,
that.
Kirk blew that one up a while ago. Yeah, it's the Excelsior class now. Oh yeah. You know what would be cool? This is going into want, so I won't do it yet. I'll make that one of my wants, because like Hawk, we said off mic, I don't know quite what I want from these.
Yeah.
But I just came up with one. That's what I don't want. Just keep the Enterprise that got destroyed and slap an A on it. Because that ship, I know you either love it or hate it. I love it.
I love it.
I love it. Keep that one. It's gorgeous and it's a hot rod. That's all I got to
Just
say.
because we're talking about ship, you know that one of my pet peeve in Beyond is how when the ship falls, they all go forward and not backward.
Oh, yeah.
That annoys me so much.
Yeah, because it's dead wrong. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
impossible. Like if you fall in a box, you go back because you're lighter than the box made of steel.
Do you know
Giant.
Do you know what I
ship.
loved about that movie though? That because of what George Kirk did in the beginning of Kelvin, and like getting like the shuttles and the escape pods out, that they called the escape pods on the Enterprise
The
Kelvin
Kelvin
pods.
pods.
I
Mhm.
love that. I love that.
Well, that's the
Yeah.
kind of thing I'm talking about when I'm speaking about new aesthetics. Like
Yeah.
our aesthetics, literature, art is all inspired by it's all like influenced by whatever the hell happens around us, and that should reflect on everything.
CBF's want. It's a good one. It's a good one. All I know is that there better be whales here. If not, why even do Star Trek 4? This time, the whales save the humans.
Oh, that would be
Institution ops.
interesting.
I want whales. I'll take a redo of Star Trek 4. I would watch it. It would probably be
You
better.
know, one of the books actually redoes the motion picture. It has V'ger in it.
One of the Kelvin books?
One of the Kelvin books, like the one by Alan Dean Foster, has V'ger in it.
Is it still boring as fuck?
No, it's
My God.
it only appears very briefly, but
Oh, okay.
it is in
All right.
there.
All right. Is it still the same V'ger, or like because it would still be the same V'ger, right? Like the Kelvin timeline
mean-
wouldn't fuck any of that up.
I mean, like the whole it hadn't like it. Well, it was the Voyager probe. Like it hadn't actually gotten to the V'ger thing, the V'ger stage yet.
Because it's earlier.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. All right. We are back around, and now we are at don't wants for MC. MC, I'm sure you have a ton of don't wants as well as wants.
Okay, I had one. Oh my God, what? It just totally went out of my head. Because I had all of these figured out. My don't want for the Kelvin, for Kelvin 4. Yeah, I'll say this. I don't want them to kill off Chekhov. It's
Hot
obviously
take.
it's obviously Anton Yelchin losing him was absolutely tragic. I don't want him recast. I think that especially at the time the movie's going to be set, it's very easy to put him on the Reliant. And I think that it would be just a lot nicer as a memorial to Anton Yelchin to have Chekhov not be killed off, and just let him go off and have his own adventures, which I guess is a lot nicer. I don't want than there's not a lot of vitriol in it, but yeah. And I also don't want them to ignore all of the characters that aren't named Kirk and Spock, because that has been a problem that they had for at least 2 of the movies. Star Trek Beyond did start to correct that. But even then, I mean, like Sulu still got a bit of a short shrift. So yeah, like let's do a proper ensemble piece. Because I actually do think, like, straight out the box, Kelvin did better with their main cast. I mean, especially compared to TOS, where it was absolutely just like the main three, and maybe a little bit of Scotty. But they need to go further. It's like I mean, like I was, saying that, the Spock and Uhura needs to be like a thing in Kelvin 4, but that should not be the only thing that Uhura's got going for her.
Yeah. I really like what you're saying about Chekhov too, and I think that's pretty well like established. I think most of the fan base wants just even like a line, like Sulu maybe has been keeping tabs on him, or maybe even Scotty because he's kind of his protege, right? Like to take over engineering. Like, oh hey, like how's Chekhov doing? Oh yeah, he's like second or first officer on the Reliant. He's killing it. Like he's doing a great job. Like it could just be that. Don't do a deep fake. Don't do any of that bullshit. Don't do AI. Just a throwaway line. He's okay. He's thriving. Done.
I doubt it's even going to be that. I think probably if it ends up happening on that, they just acknowledge that Chekhov died in something, some sort of accident, maybe something spectacular. But I guarantee you they end up naming a ship after him in the new Kevlinverse.
Yeah, but I mean, like the thing is, they don't need to name a ship after him in the Kelvinverse because they've already got the USS Yelchin in Discovery.
And Discovery, which was such a nice. Oh, I love that.
And yeah, I don't want them to kill him off. Like they don't need to. Like it would just be a thing that would cause angst, and I want this movie to be happy. And yeah, he's off on the Reliant, and he's doing awesome.
Yep, agreed.
And I actually think that the actors would probably prefer that because. I mean, I think one of the reasons why the actors are willing to come back, even though with all of the shit that Paramount put them through with Kelvin 4, is the cast are incredibly close to each other. Yeah. I mean, and especially Chris Pine and Anton Yelchin were remarkably close to each other. And I have always had the theory that that might have been one of the reasons why Kelvin 4 was put off for so long, because he literally could not deal with the grief of doing it.
Yeah. Tara writes, in the Prime Universe, Chekhov has descendants. Very true. We hear from President of the United Federation of Planets. What was his name? Was it?
Anton Chekhov.
It was Anton Chekhov in the finale of Picard. And then Colin writes, yeah, I'd love more Bones and Scotty, which is funny because if you can read it, please, MC Matt Harker's Want.
Before that, I'm just going to read. Gene Kang said Chekhov is vacationing on Ryza. He deserves some downtime.
Permanent vacation.
I love that idea.
Ryza.
He can do it. He can do it. He can do it.
So Matt Harker's Want, definitely more Bones and Scotty with I'm a bit confused by with Urban and Peg in parentheses. Their comic
Urban
release.
And Simon Pegg.
Okay, well, yes, I know that. Their comic relief moments are the highlight of the series. It would be fun to see more creative connects back to the Prime universe and more Romulans.
Always here for more Romulans. Always.
I don't know. I'm gonna say that. I am not certain that I want Romulan Kelvin 4.
Not in Kelvin 4.
What?
Not in Kelvin 4. I agree.
Oh yeah, I feel like if they show up, I want something political. I want something like, okay, diplomacy, or like something that, I don't know, like they integrate the Federation and they join the Federation and you have Romulans on ships. Like I want something like this, because if they're again like the big bad, I just think like it just doesn't work in like Kelvin 4.
Well, no. They could almost do a take on the undiscovered country just with the Romulans instead of the Klingons, because like the incident that caused everything to happen in the undiscovered country was like a disaster on Klingon, right? Like some sort of moon or something blew up. Mm-hmm. I mean, like that's kind of like shit. That's like the Romulans, like it's not happened yet, but they know their planet's gonna blow up eventually, so they're in the kind of the same situation, just trying to get ahead of it. So they're doing the diplomacy now.
Yeah, I don't think that Paramount has like enough power, like enough IDs
That's why they have
to
to
do
hire
the
me.
undiscovered country with the Romulans. But yes, 1000%. Yeah, I don't know.
That's my main want. Hire me to write the movie.
As they
I,
should.
I saw like some I saw somebody talking about Jayla Elizabeth Dean, and I was
Yes,
like,
I was
Jayla,
gonna read that.
captain of the Enterprise,
Done. Easy.
bring it.
Bring it.
15 years in the future, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that will give a role to Sofia Boutella that is not absolutely stupid, because like I love her. I think she's a great actress, but she's been
God, how long
like,
did we talk
in
about that
some
movie?
dumbass
the pod.
roles.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, we talked about it for a long time. She's been in some terrible movies, but she's so good.
The Mummy.
And I'm like, bring her back to Star Trek. Give her something. Like,
Yes.
even the I don't care. Like no more Mummy. And you know how much I fucking love the original Mummy. But like, no, like bring her back as Jala and
Agreed.
captain of the Enterprise.
Yep. Agreed.
And she needs Kirk for something.
Yep.
And that's how she pulls back together the crew.
Ooh,
Yes, here we
like it.
go.
Let's do another Star Trek 4 pitch. Hawk, what do you want from Star Trek 4?
Well, all the talk of Romulan and the Romulus and the Romulans and the plight that they're in is kind of giving me this idea. And that, what if instead of like trying to redo the undiscovered country with the Romulans at the table and that kind of pleading with the Federation for help and that and relocation and that, what happens if the destruction of Vulcan, coupled with the foreknowledge that the Romulans will be facing a supernova, emboldens them instead of making them, want to retreat or come together in peace? And that maybe they start putting together kind of their, they start making those moves on the chessboard like we know Romulans like to do. And that, then maybe they consider the destruction of Vulcan the first move. And from there, and that begin like a lengthy strategy in order to finally, just eradicate the neutral zone and just like try and expand the empire out and to actually take on the Federation.
Okay, just like headcanon,
Mhm.
something about the Kelvinverse. There's no way the Romans didn't know about Nero and his bullshit. Like, there is no way that he was stuck how long in a Klingon prison?
Well, at least, let's see. They were
A
It
long
was
ass time. It
20
was close to 20-something years. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
no way. There's absolutely no way in hell that the Romulans didn't know about the Narada, sorry, and Nero and all this. Like, they knew. I have the headcanon that I'm pretty sure any single Romulan ship has some kind of like transponder or something that they can keep track of, like old, present, future, because they know of time travel. And they're like a way to like, I cannot believe that this was under the radar. Like, they knew and they let it go because they were like, let's see
Yeah.
what
At one
let's see
point,
what's going
Rura
to happen.
contacted them and it was just like, "Hey, we got like a political prisoner here," and they were like, "Yeah, we don't want him." Like, that guy is just like,
They knew.
Yeah.
So that's not, I mean, that's not a bad idea. But on the other hand, it's just like a classic it's a classic Star Trek plot.
Yeah. It is.
Romans are the bad guys, and
Yep. I like Hawk's idea. I was going to say that earlier. I would love for like them to actually be maybe like the good guys in a story, right? Like they're like, let's not be fucking idiots. Like let's take advantage of the situation and do some good, which I know is hard for the Romulans, but
I think they're biologically incapable of it.
Yep.
I think they just the branch of Vulcans that could not deal with stuff, and they just reproduce into oblivion, and they're just all paranoid by default.
Sorry, I just spilled beer on myself because I was petting my dog. That's what I get for petting my dog.
I do want to remind the listeners out there that we have talked about we pitched Kelvin for actually. I believe it was a live show at
it was a
Trek
live
Long
show
Island,
at Trek Long Island.
and it was awesome. So if you want to go back and hear like all of our ideas for Kelvin for. We have it there.
Indeed.
And we also pitched Kelvin TNG.
Kelvin
that was
TNG,
my first
that
episode.
was fucking wild. Was that what that was? Hawk, can you read Eric the Red's want, please?
Sure. Eric the Red wants a sequel, definitely set it years later with the monster maroon uniforms where Kirk comes out of semi-retirement as an admiral, has to get the crew back together, minus Chekhov, who was on the Reliant, for one last mission. One other idea is to have Eric's in Chekhov's place. I wouldn't mind seeing actual
I would love
Kevlinverse.
that.
Eric's got
Robin.
some
Bring
love in this
Rest.
podcast. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, some
Yes.
live action Eric's would be very
Yep.
interesting.
Yep, agreed. I like it. Minus the monster maroons, and I love the monster maroon, but just keep the Beyond uniforms because those things were
Those
perfect.
the costumes and Beyond are so good.
And that wasn't even, dude. And like we all know that Gersha Phillips is the queen, but like that wasn't even Gersha, and those uniforms are fucking amazing.
Yeah, and also, I mean, I have to say with the Monster Maroons, like the Monster Maroons get 100 fucking years to be around.
Yeah,
Like, let's
yeah.
give some more time for like the TOS uniforms.
Agreed. People want to know if Porthos is going to ever reappear in the Kelvinverse after what Scotty did to poor Porthos the second.
Well, here's the thing: it wasn't Porthos.
It was Porthos the
Unfortunately,
second.
Yeah, it
Or
might
the
have been
third.
Aramis or D'Artagnan.
Yeah, one of the three Musketeers. Yeah, maybe Scotty tried transwarp beaming on him. That dog is gone.
If I recall correctly, there was a deleted scene, like it was supposed to be a stinger that
Oh,
the
that
dog
Porthos
showed up.
reappears.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Porthos showed up. Not whatever the dog's name was, showed up in my webcomic and was renamed the cutest of Borg.
The
Aw.
cuteness of Borg. The cuteness. Oh, I love it. Giraffe. What
Yes.
don't you want from Star Trek 4?
I don't want a movie in the direct vibe of the series we've got this year. I want something totally different. Like, I feel a lot of the series this year, except for animation, kind of had the same kind of stories ish. You know? It was like Star Trek doing Star Trek, basically. And
That's fair. Yeah.
and I'm like, I like Star Trek, so I'll eat it up. But it just like it lacked a little bit of the magic
Yeah. fair.
that even a Quality of Mercy, for example, is Star Trek doing Star Trek, right?
Mhm.
But that was wild. I was like, I was on the edge of my seat. I was like, what is going to happen? But there's been a lot of episodes this year where I'm like 15 minutes in and I'm like, oh, this is what is going to go down.
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
because
it's
there's 900 episodes of Star Trek. Like, I've seen this one. Like even the episode I like Ad Astra per Aspera, I was like, I knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, we all
so clearly. But like, for example, the Elysian Kingdom, I had no fucking clue where that episode was
Yeah.
going, and having something so funny being so tragic, like I was like, wow, that's not, I did not expect that. So I do not want a movie where like 15 minutes in, I'm like, oh, they're doing the Undiscovered Country. Even if I would fucking like it,
Right.
That's fair.
I would have an Undiscovered Country of the Romulans. Like, absolutely. Like, I would watch it. I would like it. But I'm like, I don't want something that is repetitive and that is borrowed. And I don't want something, and I know people are gonna be mad at me, but I don't want something too Star Trek-y that is only for the fans, where like you need to have like backstory of like 15 years of Star Trek to be, oh, this is that person and like they're doing that and like blah blah blah. Like, for example, the Khan thing was stupid because you needed previous knowledge to be able like to gather what the fuck was going on, and they should just not have done it, like keep the same story. But yeah, I think even a story, I don't want a story with the big bad, you know what I mean? Like a classic Star Trek episode that they turned into a movie. I do want a new kind of story, which will not happen if they still hire always the same people. But one can dream.
That's kind of the worst thing about the franchise is like, at this point in time, like, producers think that they just kind of, fans just want nods to like everything that they know before and that. And part of the magic of the original series, like to us into TNG and that was that every week you kind of felt like you were watching a short story, and it was always a little different, every time in that. And I think that was probably the best era in that, where it was kind of, it had more of a referential nod to sci-fi writers and that, and like, like
DS9.
just yeah, exactly.
This
Like,
is one of the reasons why I love Beyond, because Beyond has a lot of that. Doesn't really have a lot of like Winky. It's like, here's Khan. I mean, they have like the Balthazar
Edison. I think it was Edison.
Balthazar Edison. Yeah, I couldn't remember which way around it went. But yeah, he was a Mako that was made a captain, and you see him in the Enterprise uniform. But that was just a quick little nod. That's not like it, just kind of informs the story. And it actually, makes you feel really good as a Star Trek fan, rather than it being something that you absolutely need to understand. And even like the plot of that is not, it is quite different than anything that they really do for Star Trek. Everybody separated from each other and having to meet back up together. So,
like, for example, I don't know if you read the Enterprise War, which is not my favorite book.
yeah.
But at least the story was not something I expected at all.
I mean, true.
Book's
Like,
fucking
I was
weird
like,
though.
What? Like, that was wild. And like, yeah, so again, I'm doing all these like want and don't want, and I know I'm not gonna get that, so it makes me feel sad. That's all,
You can dream, and then when you end up being right, you could smile and have that like Shia LaBeouf feeling, like of him just like crying and clapping in the movie theater.
It's like, for example, take Marvel. Like, they kind of do always the same movie at this point. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, that's very true.
But like Thor Ragnarok was like a movie I did not expect. None of it I expected. And I was like, holy shit, that's fun. The aesthetic was very different. The humor was here. The plot was like, not like, I was like, oh, okay.
People
like,
had the nerve to call that movie forgettable.
get out.
That's wild.
That's fucking
That is wild.
stupid. Is
And
what that is.
it was made by somebody that doesn't give a shit about Marvel.
Mhm.
And that's how
Yeah.
they did it. So,
And that's why it only worked once.
Yeah.
that's why they don't walk. That is very true. But yeah, I want something fresh, and I want something that non-Trekkies can watch and enjoy.
Agreed. Wants. I feel like this is a want, like a don't want mixed with a want, but I want Jim Kirk to be like the first two, even all three of these movies have been about him living up to the expectation of George Kirk, right? Because he dies, right? Like Jim Kirk in TOS and the movies is like God level hero guy. Like George Kirk got to see him graduate from Starfleet Academy. We see it in Strange New Worlds. Youngest first officer in the fleet, youngest captain in the fleet, like gets command of the flagship. The dude exudes confidence. This Jim Kirk does to a fault, whereas Jim Kirk in the Prime Universe does do it to a fault, but always gets away with it. This one doesn't. I want to see, after the events of Beyond, him finally move past that and be his own captain. But I want to see him also be a very different, confident Jim Kirk. I don't want like cowboy diplomacy Jim Kirk. I want like good guy making the right decisions, like not decisions that are cheating death and putting his crew in danger all the time. Like I want this Jim Kirk to really be, dare I say, almost like Jean-Luc Picard, but still with like the Jim Kirk like feel and attitude. He's just a very like matured, because like at the end of Beyond, making that decision to not like run away from the chair and become an admiral, I feel like is such like a huge move to get away from his father dying, and I want to see that explored more, even if it's 10 years later. Like, have him become a really confident captain, right? Like, I know we've all been saying, some of you guys have said, like, moving away from the Enterprise and getting them all back together. It would actually be really cool. It's like, you know what? I don't need to be captain of the biggest ship in the world. I'm all of a sudden the captain of like a B ship, but that B ship is doing really important things. But something in this next movie brings them all back together to be on the Enterprise. Like, I want to see that version of Jim Kirk.
Risk is not our business.
I completely get that. And I mean, like, the first 3 movies, I believe he turns 30 in the first one. And I think, like, for the first 3 movies, he's younger than Kirk in TOS the entire time.
Yes,
like, because in TOS, Kirk is in his 30s.
He's 35.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, like, there's a fair bit of distance between Kirk and TOS, and I feel like with Beyond, he had reached like this sense of maturity that was quite different than TOS Kirk. And I bringing up Jean-Luc Picard is actually like a really apt analogy, because, and I mean, like, you see, there's a Tumblr post that the screenshot goes around a lot, talking about the difference between Kirk and Picard, and how everybody like sees Picard as like this uptight and like nerdy guy. Meanwhile, when he was teenager, like, he was like this wild guy, got his heart stabbed out by Nausicaans because, they were playing pool together or whatever. And that's kind of more what this Kirk is. So I think after everything he's gone through in the last 3 movies, like, that's his version of getting his heart stabbed out.
Yep. Yeah, especially losing Pike. Like, losing Pike is his heart getting stabbed out, right?
Yeah.
So Matt Harker, it's what if he's more like the Strange New Worlds Kirk, to which I say Strange New Worlds Kirk is TOS Kirk. So that's what I don't want.
Yeah.
I know it's a different actor, but that Jim Kirk is William Shatner Kirk. Like, they're the same person. This is a very different Jim Kirk. So I love Paul Wesley, and I think he's doing an incredible job. But he's still the Shatner Kirk. Like, that's who he's going to be. That's why Sam and him have that, like, dude, you're just trying to live up to Dad. Like, you're trying to, like, one up everything Dad did. Like, you're a cocky son of a bitch. And he's like, yeah, I am. This is a very different Jim Kirk. So
Very much.
This fucking movie that they randomly sprung on us, we're gonna talk about for a bit.
Where does it come from?
There was an article about
There's
it.
a whole article about it.
Like, it's official article. It's like some nerds
from
writing
like
stuff.
no, like from like the big outlets. Yeah, like the big news outlets. A Kelvin prequel is in the works, to which I will always say, isn't that just
TOS?
No, Enterprise. Isn't
Enterprise,
that Enterprise?
It's already TOS. Hawk. It's already TOS.
It's already
Alright.
Yeah. It's Enterprise. So I don't get what they're trying to do.
It could be Discovery.
I should also mention that it's the Andor director who is supposed to be
Andor
working on
director
it.
It could be Strange New World, and it could be Discovery. Like, it's a prequel of like
Strange New World is 09.
Yes, like that era
Yeah.
is like it would be a really weird prequel. Like, they'd have to do, like, this movie has to be one of 2 things, and obviously we're going to talk about these. It's got to be the Romulan Federation War. Or,
Everybody loved Enterprise, and so let's do it again.
Yeah. So
Thank you, Yum Yum Pod.
yeah. So if they say it's 100
Matt,
years,
they haven't
said
given
year. But
Yeah.
like, this hurts my brain so much, because if they do a prequel, it's got to be Kelvin, and you could tell the story of him. But like, Chris Hemsworth
Sorry,
is
I have a
aged, and you
question.
can't do George
Sir?
Kirk.
And Chris Hemsworth will not come
Sir,
back to do it.
I have a question.
Yes,
Sorry.
yes,
like,
Sub
please,
Commander.
and like, correct me, because maybe I'm just being dumb. The Kelvin timeline until the Narada shows up
Is the same timeline.
is the normal timeline,
Is the
right?
normal
We all
timeline.
agree.
Yes.
Okay, so basically it's just a TOS prequel, right? It's just gonna be an Enterprise movie. It's not
Yes.
gonna be a Kelvin Enterprise movie.
It depends on where it is, because I don't know where this 100 years came from. It's not going to be
No,
100
they
years
have not
before.
said anything about years.
They have not. If it's going to be a Kelvin prequel, I bet you anything it is going to be the aftermath of the Kelvin incident.
Which I just don't need a movie about.
destroying the Kelvin.
I don't. I'm just
And
saying, like,
09.
this is how I would. Yeah.
Because before that, it's the prime time. We
It's the
all
pri-
agree on
yes.
this,
No,
right?
no,
Yeah,
it's,
not being weird.
it's not being
Okay.
weird. That's 100% the truth.
That's
It is-
100%. That's why Eddington, or not Edison. Sorry, I keep on getting confused with the guy from Deep Space Nine. He's wearing a straight up Enterprise
Enterprise
uniform.
uniform.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's even a shuttle pod.
Okay. So, continue, please proceed.
So that's where we're at. This whole fucking concept. I can't even speak English. This is so dumb. This whole concept makes no sense and shouldn't be made, but we're gonna do it anyway. I don't have a lot of wants, but we're gonna try anyway. MC, your want for a theoretical garbage Kelvin prequel film.
You put me right on the spot by doing the want
Sure did.
first.
Mhm.
I could have done the don't want first. Fuck it. I want a movie about Amanda Grayson. Get Winona Ryder and we'll do an entire Amanda Grayson movie.
I'd watch it.
Oh my god! But that means they're gonna like deep fake her, like.
They wouldn't have to, because they made her look
Skywalker.
older.
They made her. They
made her look older.
They age makeuped her in 09.
Yeah, but she's like older now
She
than
still
she
looks
was in
really
09.
young. Like Stranger
Okay.
Things, she looks.
I don't want any deep fake like shenanigan.
I don't think they would have
Bullshit.
to.
No,
I
I think they could still just do like
it's
legit makeup.
depending on when you put it, you could just, it's been what, 15 years since 09 or whatever. You said it when Spock is like
15 is
10.
counting. Yeah, it's 15 years. Yes.
Said it when Spock is like 10 or something. That way you could work.
Give us
have-
Michael.
Yes,
Young
that's what I
Michael.
was just gonna say.
Saying.
Young
You
Michael.
don't have to do an Enterprise prequel. You can do a Discovery prequel. But
Yep.
for real.
No, I'm laughing because, like, actually now that I've talked myself into this, it's like, this is
You
what I
can
would
be
watch.
you can do like, yeah, when Michael was young and like, I mean, if she exists, because like you don't know that the Klingon did the same thing and all the, like, but that it doesn't have to be 100 years in the past. It can be just like 30 years before 09.
I totally wrote this story, by the way.
Eric Summers, give us Prime Lorca. To which I say,
Prime
then this should just be a
Lorca?
fucking
Prime
discovery.
Lorca or Kelvin,
No,
or Kelvinverse. Lorca.
It would still be, if we're doing a prequel that's before the Narada, it's Prime Lorca. But
Well, wait.
Fuck.
No, if you like Prime Lorca, okay, Ula.
Okay, there's two different things.
We can spin the fact that Prime Lorca disappeared from the Prime universe because they sent him to the Kelvinverse, and then that's an interesting story. But I don't think the majority of the public is gonna be able to compute that story.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yum Yum Pod's also right, and this is honestly what I would love to see. Be bold and go balls deep into the temporal Cold War nonsense. Fuck yes. Would watch that.
I mean, the temporal agents have got to be really pissed that there's an entire, like, alternate
Well, they're pissed enough that
reality.
they weren't able to do anything about like fixing the branch. Like they decided to just let it go. So that's a story in itself.
Yeah. Of course, then that like starts to get into like Loki territory.
The thing that would be good though with a prequel, if like forget the fucking Enterprise prequel, it makes no sense to do a Kelvinverse Enterprise. That doesn't make sense. But like a prequel would mean that they could play with a lot of like Discovery information, a lot of Discovery like actors, a lot of Strange New World stuff.
But at that
Like-
point, just make a fucking Disco Strange New Worlds movie.
Well, yeah.
It doesn't need to be called Kelvin. I don't know why they're
But
fucking
the
throwing
thing
the
is,
word
like,
Kelvin
even if they
into
do
this.
a prequel, I don't understand. If they're doing Star Trek 4, it's because they want the crew with Chris Pine and like Zachary Quinto. If they do a
This is
prequel, what's
my
the
whole-
point of doing a Kelvinverse?
Yeah, I mean, like that. This is why I'm in love with the Kelvin timeline. It's not because of like the deep geopolitical state of the Kelvinverse. It's because I fucking love this cast and I love the versions of these characters.
Yeah.
So, like, they're doing anything outside of those characters doesn't really interest me. Like, I mean, unless they do like decide to do a TNG Kelvinverse movie, which actually please don't do because I'm already kind of sick of the TNG
Two
characters.
TNG movies shoot me.
I know, right? I mean, like that's what I was that's what I was about to say. But yeah, I mean, the reason I love the Kelvinverse is because of the actors. So, like, what's the point? But I would be interested. I would be interested if we did get like an Amanda Grayson movie with like teenaged Michael, and we actually saw like a difference. Because frankly, I'm of the opinion that Spock and Michael have a much better relationship in the Kelvinverse, and that's why Spock is like straight up more in touch with his humanity because he's certainly very
And
in touch with
definitely
humanity.
has a black fetish.
I
Jesus. Wow, we just went there. Okay.
Hey, sorry. What was I saying? Yeah, well, if they do, like, are we getting a disco movie technically with Section 31? Like, people can bitch
Yeah.
as much as they fucking want. It's still a Discovery movie, okay? So they don't calling that because people are stupid, but it is a disco movie. So we're getting a disco movie, right? I mean, if I don't know, it's gonna be a movie, but like, you know, we're getting Section 31. So my over, like, just because like it makes me think of that, they would be dumb enough. Listen, I remember us talking about it, but I don't know we talked about it on the pod. But if they're doing a prequel, I'm gonna tell you the premise is gonna be we're gonna go back in time to stop at the destruction of Vulcan. They miss and they end up Enterprise time. And then you have Kelvinverse Enterprise because they do a time incursion from the Kelvinverse into the Enterprise with French.
Please stop.
My
You're hurting my
brain
brain
hurts.
so much right now.
No, you don't get it.
I know, I get it. It's still just
Yeah.
like, ow.
This is the only
Ow.
way they can do. This is the only way they can do a Kelvin prequel, or they do a Discovery time with like young Michael and like please cast Lupita Nyong'o. Like I'm gonna say it again because it can be Disco is after the Narada, so you know it's like other people for
Yeah.
sure. But
If Discovery even existed in the Kelvin.
yeah, exactly. Like you don't know what the fuck happened, right? But like if they go in this two in between and it's still the Kelvinverse. But I'm telling you, if they're doing like a prequel and they want to go like beginning of the Federation, they still want that cast. There's no way they're doing a Kelvinverse movie without that cast. It's gonna be the Enterprise. It's gonna be a First Contact, but with Kelvinverse Enterprise. It's gonna be something like this. There's no way they do a Kelvinverse movie without the original cast.
Could
It's not
we
a Kelvinverse
possibly get a
movie.
movie with the Kelvinverse cast and like Scott Bakula?
President Archer
Yes.
of the
Future
Federation, which I
Man.
still would love to see.
Future Man is actually Kelvinverse.
I know, but I mean, like, listen, like, Yum Yum Pod is legit up to something with a temporal Cold War like movie. The Kelvinverse we know was part of the temporal Cold War. Like, do something with that. You know, do something like bring. This is actually a great way to bring Scott Bakula back.
But again, it is not Kelvinverse. If they're doing Star Trek
No, of
4
course
and they're
not.
going
No,
Star
I
Trek 4, it's Kelvinverse. And it's going to be that damn ship with everybody on board from like 100 years before. And then maybe they bring back like Scott Bakula and all this and they do an Enterprise like timeline. But they can't do a prequel of Kelvin without time jump.
We are going so late on this. Yum Yum
We're
Pod writes, the
spiraling.
film is about saving Trip Tucker. God damn it, Yum Yum Pod writes.
No,
No.
I don't care about
No.
Florida
Fuck
Man.
him!
MC, could you read Chris's Don't Want, please?
Chris's don't want. I'm curious what a prequel would be given where the timeline diverges. I don't want them to try to go back, whether it's to save octopuses or a prequel. It's octopi, sir.
Correct.
Also, I
Octopus.
don't want another Chekhov. I want him to be on some mission so he cannot join.
Go back to Star Trek 4. Yeah, I forgot to cut that out.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I mean, like, I think we've been spiraling on that for the last 10 minutes.
So Chris, we're right there with you, friend. We're right there with you. So I think we'll go right along to Hawk. what don't you want from this?
I am so confused on this still. So I think I'll just go to the production side of it. No, one thing I don't want is ever to hear the line come from Paramount Plus and that, or Paramount wherever. Yeah, J.J.
Sky dance
Abrams
amount.
J.J. Abrams is coming back to right the ship.
I
Oh,
mean,
God.
it could be
I'm
worse.
getting
They
tremors.
could say
It could-
Quentin
no, I bet-
Tarantino's vision comes true finally.
Tarantino,
Dude.
whatever. He's just talking out of his ass. That's what Tarantino does. And
That-
he talks
Has Quentin Tarantino ever not talked out of his ass?
exactly. No, but I mean, it'd be like with Skydance and everything, like, possibly taking on, like a bigger financial role in these, it's like, part of me really fears that, like JJ comes back to try and give it another go in that, and it's like, honestly, after, Rise of Skywalker, after that South
Rise
Park
of
episode,
Skywalker. What's that?
Yeah. J.J.
Exactly.
Abrams doesn't have any interest in coming back to Star Trek. He only did it as an audition reel for Star Wars. And like, I mean, I've talked before about, Beyond, how much I loved it. Like, I mean, you had Simon Pegg and a bunch of other people writing it, and they did a really good job on it. And was it Justin Lin who did it? Who directed it?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
doing
He did a really good job directing it. Like,
He
and
did.
True.
it was very different from what Justin Lin usually does.
True, he does like the Fast and Furious, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
If I think I could say this with a straight face and stay true to it. And I would also have to say, with the preface being that this podcast didn't exist, because if it did, I'd have the responsibility to go see it. But I think if JJ directed a Kelvin prequel or Star Trek 4, I would probably not go see it.
Oh, come
No,
on.
like no bullshit. Not after Rise of Skywalker. Like,
Oh, you made that one too? Oh, that was a bad movie.
yeah,
Exactly. This is what I mean.
like not after Rise
oh
of
my God.
Skywalker.
And it's like, but he's
still
had
see-
so much influence over the course that it's taken since 2009 and that. And it's like, okay, like he really did a great job bringing it back and that. But like, then like Into Darkness kind of sucked.
Stop it!
As MC said, it was like his audition reel and that for Star Wars. Even though, like, I think he brought a lot of passion to 2009 film. It didn't just feel like
I
somebody
would not-
auditioning for another franchise. But
I would not go watch a Zack Snyder.
oh,
Is where I draw the fucking
Jesus,
line.
No,
Oh.
like again, another director. It's like
I mean, at least with the prequel, we know who's directing it.
Hmm.
They've already
Yeah,
said.
if it's a prequel, we
Have
know
they
it's the
said
guy
that-
from
have they
Andor.
Yeah,
announced
it's
the
the
director?
Andor.
Yeah,
the guy
it's a guy
directed
from
Andor.
Andor.
Is he okay? Good. I mean, like,
Which, listen,
Look.
I loved Andor, but Andor works as a series, does not work as a movie
No.
at all.
JJ is really good at number one, the first film in a series. It has been said
He's
about
good at
him,
setting
and it's
things
not
up.
like he could do a setup. The dude, like, it's like he can't come, he can't finish, like he can't, like, he cannot finish. And
Just let
that's
him put down his fucking mystery boxes and then get out.
Yep.
also one of his
Ah.
problems as a director is like he relies a little too much on member berries and that.
Mhm.
You guys saw the South Park episode and that kind of where they like the U.S. government tried to
Mission
him to
Impossible
redo the-
3 was fun. Yum Yum Pod.
I have
get
a
him to
bit
try.
of
Oh, sorry.
a maybe controversial opinion.
Go ahead.
I don't think it matters who directs it. I don't think Star Trek has ever been like seriously built off of having big name director. Look at the best Star Trek movies that are out there.
Didn't we agree that Jonathan Frakes was going to
Well, he's going
Direct-
to
he's
do
gonna direct
TNG.
everything.
He should direct all of them. But I mean, like
all
the
Star Trek
best
All Star
until the
Trek.
end
the
of
best
time?
Star Trek movies have always been done by people who have been in Star Trek. Like it's Leonard Nimoy and Jonathan Frakes. They
I
did
would
the
Nick,
best
hold-
Star Trek.
hold on,
say
hold up,
William
stop.
Shatner. Do
Nick-
not say
Hold up.
William
No,
Shatner.
seriously,
Meyer.
no, Nicholas Meyer. Nicholas Meyer
Yeah,
directed, I think,
that's-
the two best Star Trek movies.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Nicholas Meyer did, but also worked with me with Nimoy on
Yeah,
I think both of them.
yeah.
So yeah, Star Trek's never been built off of like really and I think when they do bring in like these, basically name brand directors where it's just like somebody, did some hot shit. And that's been like the problem they've been having with Kelvin. It's like Kelvin 4. Every time there's somebody who's been hot for a minute, it's Paramount's been like, come in and do Kelvin 4. And then they agree to do it. And so then you get a bunch of articles where it's just like, so-and-so is going to be doing Kelvin 4. And then they actually go get another job that they're more interested in doing. They need to get a director that actually is interested in doing Star Trek.
Agreed. Hawk, you continue on to read Jedi Cat's Want, please.
Sure. We just pull this up here again. Jedi Cat Want. I have only one want for the Kelvin prequel film, for it to be about Archer's Enterprise. Seeing a Kelvinverse reimagining of that crew and their adventures would be interesting.
And that's how Giraffe's idea kind of works, that they make a temporal incursion and fuck things up, and somehow Nero goes back to that time, and it's that crew. Like, that could be interesting.
I want President Archer.
I still love the President Archer idea as well, 100%. I think we should see, like, honestly, I don't think
especially
it's still... Go ahead.
Listen, if I end up like time traveling and I end up at Archer time, the guy who knows best about temporal Cold War and like temporal incursion and all this is Jonathan Archer.
It's true. 100%. Yep. A want from me is, if you're going to do this and you're going to call it Kelvin, like with the Kelvin aesthetic, I still don't think that it necessarily needs to be called, like, it doesn't. I don't know exactly how to say this, because again, it's not Kelvin, but if you're going to do a prequel to those movies and to TOS, just give us a conflict we've never seen on the screen before, and that's the Romulan Federation War, which is like one of the most major conflicts in Star Trek history that we've never seen. And
Cowards!
Dark that would be.
It would
Like,
be
yeah,
dark
like-
as fuck. There were nukes, and like the Federation were
Nukes.
still using nukes. Like, give us that dark film. Like, I want to see. I mean, really, it should be like a mini series, but you could do it as a movie. Give that to
Star
me.
Trek Romulus.
Yeah,
Let's go.
that a draft. I teased you.
Yeah.
We should
know,
write
but
that
you know.
series.
That's not a I mean, I guess it is a prequel to Kelvin in that, it's a prequel to everything.
Everything.
Uh,
Yeah. But like, if you're gonna do a
because
movie,
I don't think people understand how the timeline works. Like,
no. That's why I'm still just like confused as all hell about this.
But you know what? You know who else doesn't understand how the timeline works? Paramount.
Paramount.
well,
So-
yeah.
Who knows?
True. That's why they got Tawny on the writers for Starfleet Academy.
I mean,
Bless.
I'll volunteer to write
Bless.
this one too. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't really want to, but like I'll end up writing my fucking like Amanda, Michael, and
Yeah, right.
Spock movie.
Right. I put Trouble 2.0's mailbag in here as wants and don't wants, just because I thought it was a very well thought out and written mailbag. This is for both films. It would be interesting to see this is our last mailbag of the night, by the way, a backstory film with how the attack changed. We talked about this a little bit, how the attack changed the course of everyone's lives, specifically Kirk. We get a small insight into the deleted scenes for the 09 film, but there's definitely more there that both Kirk and the rest of the characters. It would be nice to see the introduction into Bone's situation too, and finally meet his daughter, because we know he has a daughter.
Oh, give us Joanna.
Yeah. However, I'm not a big fan of the prequel idea, because I think they left a lot of things open at the end of Beyond. Yes. Peg and the other writers said they weren't looking to kill off Chekhov, but had a plan for him. And I was interested to see how that would be played out. I get what they are doing, though, with not wanting to pay Pine Hemsworth what they want to do to the original film. But I'm still holding out hope on that one, and so are all the actors. Yeah. I mean, we've talked about this in depth as far as like the prequel stuff. Yeah, I mean, that's how you do the prequel. Show us the direct effect that on Kirk of George Kirk dying, of how Spock climbed the ranks of Starfleet. Like, I don't think that Spock was an instructor at Starfleet Academy in the Prime Universe. He's not. He's serving under Pike on the Enterprise, so we know that that's not the case.
Explain this shit with Uhura, where Uhura's like a lot older than she is, and
Yeah.
they're like, what's she doing?
Yeah.
And there's a
but
lot of
then-
stuff that
Again, we can't have the crew. I don't want fucking prequel if there's not the crew.
I mean, I get it. I'm just grasping at
They
straws
recast
here.
them again. I don't have room
Yeah.
anymore for more Auroras. like
You'll
they're gonna
find
recast
room.
again.
Lupita Nyong'o.
Oh my god!
Also, like,
Can
can
have a good
can
time.
Paramount get over its hard on for casting Chris Hemsworth in another Star Trek movie? It's not gonna fucking happen. Like they've been on this for fucking
Not
years.
to mention
and I mean,
that
like,
after what Chris Hemsworth found out about him, having like the Alzheimer's gene, he's very much like picking and choosing his roles and taking
Yeah.
a step back from acting. So
yeah, and I don't think he's going to be like, well, that Star Trek movie, like, I really want to go in and do that. He's not going to want to do it. And I think Hemsworth is actually the one who was really kind of holding up the money issue. Pine's willing to do it. Pine's willing to do a Star Trek movie, and he wants
I
to
think
do
they
it for
all
cheaper
are.
than.
I think they
Yeah.
all are. Yeah.
I mean, Quinto was at Vegas this year.
Yeah.
They cast Carl Urban as Johnny Cage in Mortal Kombat 2. Like, come on.
What, seriously?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I hadn't
No.
heard that, and I love
Oh
it.
yeah, they're filming it right now. He did it behind the
even
scenes.
though I hate Johnny Cage.
It should have been the Miz from WWE, but that's another story.
I did not get that reference.
No, like the Miz is like a wrestler, but he's also like a C-list Hollywood actor. Would be the perfect Johnny Cage. Anyway,
I have no idea
it's
what
okay.
all of these words you're saying.
Sorry.
I don't know.
This is what I get for trying to talk about wrestling
on.
on a Star Trek show. Even though The Rock was on Star Trek, he laid the smackdown.
True. Tsunkatse.
Yep. Giraffe.
Don't want.
Don't want.
I'm very short.
just don't want.
don't want a movie. Well, I don't want a movie that just ignores everything we know. You know what I mean? I just don't want like an enterprise like Kelvin and they just don't explain how the
Yeah.
fuck it's possible. Or like I'm too much of a Star Trek nerd to not like when things don't line up. I mean, they don't line up often, but they kind of make sense. You know what I mean? So no, I don't want something that just ignore everything and be like, yeah, it's Kelvin Enterprise. Why not? Yeah, no, I don't want that.
Don't need
That's
a
what I
Kelvin
want.
Enterprise.
Huh?
We don't need a Kelvin Enterprise. Like, even if it was possible, we don't need
I
it.
don't really have a problem with that, to be honest. Like, as long as it's like them going back. I don't want a Star Trek 4 without the crew.
Yeah.
I don't see the point. Like, just do another Star Trek movie. Like, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, do a new one. You know, don't do a Kelvin if there's not the Kevlinverse crew.
Agreed. We're gonna try and go through these last few because we're running out of time. Hawk, your want from this, if there is one.
I'm still so confused. It's hard to formulate like a want when you have so little to go on in that, as far as like
Because this is a dumb idea.
it really is. What I want is God from this. I don't know, godlike species, and that for them to confront. Just throw that out there. They haven't
The
done that in a
giant
movie.
green hand.
Something like
Yeah.
that, right? Where it comes down to a battle of wits, and that with whoever it is, and that they're actually choosing to focus on for this battle of wits.
Yep. I had more on here, but I think I just forgot to update the outline. Does anybody need to or want to go again on this? Are we good? Did we go through everybody?
I because
Go ahead. No,
I
go ahead.
actually am on here for.
oh yeah, you are. Sorry. Go ahead.
I don't want them to reverse the Kelvinverse, because that is something
No,
that
they
I
shouldn't.
worry that they might do if they did a prequel where it's just like, we're going to save the. And I think they've talked about this before, where that
Yeah,
was like
they've
something they
talked
were going to
about
do with the.
Saving the dad. Like, saving
Yeah.
the Kelvin. Yeah.
That's why they wanted
Fuck no.
Hemsworth
See,
back.
I totally would have seen that if Quentin Tarantino had done the movie, and that he would have
Quentin
definitely
Tarantino
tried.
wanted to do a piece of the action, and that's not even me making a Quentin Tarantino joke. He straight up said he wanted to do a remake of a piece of the action.
And he was also talking about his favorite episode being Yesterday's Enterprise, and like he was originally thinking of coming up with if he was going to do the movie, coming up
Okay.
with an episode like around that.
Devil's
I
advocate.
watched that.
Devil's advocate. Ron Moore said in multiple interviews that Yesterday's Enterprise was supposed to be Generations, and they nixed it, and eventually, like, this is timey-wimey bullshit. Ron Moore came up with the Yesterday's Enterprise idea to be a movie, and then I think they were like, nah, and then they turned it into the episode. It's complicated, but that's what they wanted the first TNG movie to be.
I mean, that would have been such a good
Yep.
fucking movie.
That would have been good.
Yep. And it was supposed
Like
to
the
involve
end of that episode,
Yeah.
Yep.
every time.
And if they had done like for 09, if they had reversed the timeline, I would have been sad, but it would have made sense. But after now they've established it over 3 movies, no, you can't erase it. Like I don't think anybody in this timeline would let them erase it, because it's like they're their own people. They're
Yeah.
not the Prime Universe versions of them.
Yeah, it's like Geordi in Voyager.
Yep. Oh,
Yeah.
Timeless.
Who's
My
like,
favorite episode.
What about
Yep.
my family and me and my life and all this? Yeah.
Which is
What
funny
about
though,
Spock
because
Uhura's baby?
yeah, thank you, MC. Thank you. But you know what's funny about what you just said about Geordi? We're getting completely off topic, but it's timeless, so I'm going to talk about it. Geordi was all about them trying to fix the timeline, right? Like, even though he says that, he goes, you know what? Like, if I was in your position, I'd be doing the same thing. But I'm a captain, and it's my job to stop you. And I really respected it at the end of that episode.
And that's where the Orville fucked up an episode, which had a good
Oh.
premise, but then they went weird.
They fucked that up so
They fucked that up so bad. And like the premise was very good. Like I was here for the premise. Like somebody that end up like locked and like be like, no, I don't want to go back. But this was
that
Weird
episode had the
episode.
potential to be so good and ended up being so
And I feel-
cringe.
this is how I feel for the Orville about like all the last season of the Orville. I was like, has the potential to be like good stories, but why is it so cringe? What is so weird? Like it makes me feel uncomfortable. I was like, I
The
don't want
first
to watch this damn
episode-
woman.
The first episode of that season is probably like one of my least
yeah.
favorite episodes
Yeah,
of
I remember
television
that.
So
ever,
weird.
ever.
I
I was like
ended-
feeling like I don't think I can watch this.
Yeah, Hawk, what are you gonna say?
I watched like 3 episodes of the new season. I didn't go back.
It
Yeah,
actually
I didn't
ends
finish either.
really strong, but
Hmm.
it's hard even after like that episode to want to finish it. But I
Well-
did, and it ended really well.
All like the xenophobia spewing hero, which is like loved by everybody and get redemption. I was like, I don't like this. I'm
She
out.
was fucking awful too. Ugh.
so bad.
So bad.
Anyway,
Anyway,
I was gonna
sorry.
say we
if
really
you
got off.
well, if you want, go listen. I think we released those to the public too. Our Orville last season bonus pods are available on our stream, so listen to those because we talk about all those cringeworthy things with me, Karen, and Matt. Draft, did you ever actually make it to one of those? I know you wanted to, and you
no,
didn't.
because I fucking hated it
hated
so
it.
bad.
Yeah,
I was like,
that's right.
I don't even want to talk about
Yeah.
it. It makes me feel
Fair.
uncomfortable. Like really, I
Yep.
like and my neck crawls. Like
It
I'm
was
like
bad.
I don't want to watch
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I think that's it for this one. This was good. This was really good. I feel like both of these episodes, these 2 episodes we've done the past 2 weeks, have been really good for our wants and don't wants. There's a lot of good ideas that are never going to see the light of day, unfortunately. Go buy Star Trek Defiant Annual because you actually have to special order that cover. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. You should.
It's all about Sarah.
It's all about Scylla.
Nice. Look at
You
that.
should get it. Oh, God,
And Paramount, hire me,
and
please.
Paramount.
I need a
hire
job.
MC.
Yeah.
Before we go,
She can fix the timeline, God damn it.
let's go over what we're gonna do in January because in February. January is over. I can't believe
I
that
know.
already.
Oh no! How is that possible?
I don't know. I don't know. We have a really fun schedule for February. Not only is it February, it's Black History Month, so we're gonna be doing some cool stuff for Black History Month as well. Next week we are going to do because it's primary season, so we're gonna do our own State of the Union. We're going to do State of Star Trek with this whole Skydance merger with Paramount possibly happening, Starfleet Academy happening, Disco ending, what's going on with like Strange New World Season 3 filming, Lower Deck
Section
Season 5,
31.
Prodigy Season 2. What's going on with Star Trek? What's happening? Where's it going? What do we, maybe some more brief wants and don't wants, just kind of the general state of the franchise. We're going to do that. That's going to be next week. Then on the 8th, who wants to say it? Because it's hard for me to say it, but we're gonna finally do it because we've never done it. What are we doing on the 8th, guys? What do I not like talking about? What do I ban people for talking
Oh,
about?
yeah.
We're doing
okay.
the 2 weeks episode.
We're
We
doing.
are doing a 2 Vix episode.
which
Hey,
is
I have a lot of things to say about Tuvix, and it's not hatred. I think it's a very interesting story to discuss.
well, there you go.
We're gonna get
It
all
is.
into it.
Oh yeah, it's like Star Trek doing stupid shit again, but like, but like with a very interesting take for once. Like
This
it's
is why
always
Julian
splitting
wants
people
me to-
into two. Like it's like the good old Star Trek doing bullshit, but it's interesting.
No,
yeah, I'm excited about
MC
this.
was about to say this is why I want her to learn OBS, but like honestly, I
Yeah,
just rewatched.
exactly.
I just rewatched the episode to see if I changed my mind about it. I didn't, so I can't wait to just be like, no, everybody's fucking wrong. Yeah, we're literally the title of the episode is going to be like, yeah, we're doing Tuvix. 2/15, the 15th of February, we are going to celebrate the engineers, some amazing black engineers. We're going to talk about Geordi, and we're going to talk about B'Elanna Torres, two great engineers on both Voyager and the Enterprise, and the bullshit that they had to deal with on a daily basis. Then on the 22nd, we are going to talk about the very weird, possibly romantic, probably not, but they've definitely fucked a couple of times, dynamic between Jack Ransom and Beckett Mariner. And then on the 29th, we teased this last week, but Hawk and I are in the middle of reading it. We are interviewing him next week for a episode that will release at the end of the month. We're interviewing David Mack, who is the author of the brand new 7 of 9 novel Firewall. So that'll be our episode at the end of the month. A lot going on in February. It's going to be fun. Tuvix. I waited for almost 4 years, and we're doing it.
You
finally.
held out. You
I
held
held out. I
You
held out.
crumbled.
We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it.
Brush
but-
up on your trolley car lessons.
Yeah, right. Oh my god. Anyway, folks, that is gonna do it for this one. It has been fun revisiting the Kelvinverse for a couple hours. For MC, for Draft, for Hawk, I am Julian. I will say live long and prosper. Sarcastic Vulcan salute. Majram and good night.